Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to put on our hard hats and become architects. But instead of buildings, we're designing something we use literally every single day: sentences. We're going to break them down, see what makes them tick, and figure out how to build our own with some real power and style.
So, let's just start with the biggest question of all. What actually gives a sentence its power? I mean, is it just the words you choose, the length, the punctuation? Well, it's actually the hidden structure, the blueprint holding the whole thing together. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll have the keys to build much stronger sentences yourself. Okay, so think about it like this. Language is built in layers, kind of like a building. We start with the smallest little bricks, the words. Those get grouped into phrases. The phrases then build out into rooms, which we call clauses. And finally, those clauses all come together to create the entire structure, a complete sentence. This is basically our roadmap for today. And getting a handle on this blueprint is absolutely the key to unlocking clear and effective communication. Seriously, once you see how these layers work together, you can start playing around with them and building much more interesting sentences. All right, before we can build the whole house, we've got to understand the rooms, right? In grammar, our rooms are called clauses. They are the fundamental components, the places where the core meaning of a sentence really lives. So what exactly is a clause? It's actually super simple. It's just a group of words that has both a subject, that's who or what is doing the action, and a verb, which is the action itself. Look at the example. She is reading. You've got your subject, she, and you've got your verb, is reading. Boom. That's a self-contained little unit of meaning. Okay, now pay attention here, because this is a really crucial distinction. You've got an independent clause, which is a complete thought. It can stand all by itself as a sentence. Think, she studies linguistics. Perfect. But then you have a dependent clause. It's an incomplete thought, like, because she was tired. See how that leaves you hanging? It has a subject and a verb, but it can't stand alone. It depends on an independent clause to make any sense at all. All right, so now that we've got our main building blocks down, let's check out the 5 basic floor plans for sentences in English. These are the fundamental patterns that cover, the vast majority of how we express ideas. Pretty much every sentence you'll ever read or write is based on one of these 5 simple, powerful frameworks. First up, we've got the simplest room in the house, the subject-verb pattern, or just SV. It's the most direct way to say something's happening. It's just bam, a subject does a thing. Writers love this for creating impact and a really fast pace. And here's a classic example. Birds fly. You've got your subject, birds, and your verb, fly. It's clean, it's direct, and it's a complete thought. Done. Okay, let's add a little something to that. Pattern 2 brings in an object. This is the SVO framework. Here, the subject's action gets transferred to something or someone else. This is the real workhorse of English sentences. You see it everywhere, because it's so clear. For instance, she reads a book. She is the subject, reads is the verb, and a book is the object. It's receiving the action. What does she read? A book. Easy, right? Now, pattern 3, SVC, adds a different kind of detail. Instead of an action verb, we use a linking verb, words like is, seems, or becomes. This just connects the subject to a complement, which is a word that either describes it or renames it. It gives us more info about the subject itself. The weather is cold. The verb isn't really an action here. It's just a link. It's connecting the subject weather to the word that describes it, cold. In this case, cold is what we call the subject complement. Moving on to pattern 4, SVA. That A stands for adverbial, and this framework is all about adding context. It tells us where, when, or how the action of the verb is happening. It really grounds the sentence in a time or a place. Here's a perfect example. She lives in Hawaii. The phrase in Hawaii is the adverbial part. It's not receiving an action. It's just telling us where she lives. It completes the idea of the verb. And last but not least, our most complex flow plan, SVOC. Here we have a subject, a verb, and an object, but we also add a complement. Now, unlike the SVC pattern we just saw, this complement describes the object, not the subject, so you're adding another layer of detail in a super efficient way. For example, we found the movie boring. See how boring isn't describing we? Nope, it's describing the object, the movie. We're giving more information about the object of the sentence. That's the key difference here. Okay, So we've got our 5 basic room layouts. Now for the really fun part. This is where you get to be a true sentence architect and start combining them to build bigger, more sophisticated structures.
One of the easiest ways to do this is to build what's called a compound sentence. You just take 2 complete thoughts, 2 of those independent clauses we talked about, and you stick them together with a conjunction like and, but, or so. You're basically just connecting 2 complete rooms to make a bigger suite.
Or you can get a little more sophisticated and build a complex sentence. This is where you attach a supporting idea, a dependent clause, to your main idea using a word like because, although, or when. This is what adds real nuance and explains the relationship between your ideas.
So why do we have all these different structures? Well, every single sentence we design has a specific job to do. The structure isn't just for show. It serves a very clear purpose in how we communicate. And this table here shows exactly how structure is tied to purpose. Are we making a simple statement? That's a declarative sentence. Are we asking something? Interrogative. Giving a command? That's an imperative. Or are we expressing some strong emotion? That's an exclamatory sentence. Our architectural choices define the message. So, what does this all boil down to? What's the big takeaway? Well, just like the source material says, understanding these structures isn't just some boring academic exercise. It's absolutely the key to becoming a more precise, a more powerful, and a more persuasive writer and speaker.
So there you have it. We've walked through the foundations, the floor plans, the whole construction site of sentence building. The only question left is, now that you have the blueprint, what are you going to build?